Greetings, everybody. Mike Wilkerson here for the Fangbanger Podcast True Blood Transfusion, our video-only fan feedback segment that features you and your feedback to us. Tonight I'm with
David Curry, the host of the Fangbanger Podcast.
And tonight we just got done reviewing the season finale of Season 4, Episode 12...
And When I Die.
And When I Die, which I felt like I did when I was done with the episode.
Mike.
I went there. What happened?
You should really look at the link directly above us on the Fangbanger Podcast website.
Yeah, and you'll actually get all of the detail as to why I'm not poo-pooing. I'm providing what I think is some salient thought, and David is obviously just stuck in True Blood withdrawal and has no opinion at all.
I have the opposite opinion.
Anyway, you get to listen to all of it by clicking the links right above us to listen to our review of Episode 12 from Season 4's True Blood. Either way, it was great stuff, great dialogue, and now it's time for fan feedback from you. David, let's get straight to feedback.
Excellent.
The first is from Tatiana in Detroit. Tatiana writes, how you doing, Tatiana? This show has so much potential, but it gets lost in its attempt to sell itself better by sticking in a ridiculous amount of sex and nudity.
Really? I assume that Tatiana has never read the books. The source material is laden with sex and nudity.
I would buy that.
And I gotta tell you, when you look at the first season of this show, the sex and the nudity was part of the grab. I mean, it really. It was extra. It actually added a bonus. It wasn't just boobies for boobies' sake. I think it really added a layer to the show.
Speaking of layer, I honestly felt like I was watching a porno with a plot thrown in as an afterthought.
Wow. You know, I've never heard that about this show. Honestly, I've experienced feedback from a lot of people about the show True Blood. And I've never heard anybody come out and say that it was just gratuitous sex.
Now, I know my bonus mom had some problems with the sex in the very first episode.
Right.
This one, well, you know what? That whole thing with Jess and Jason on the couch was pretty hardcore for someone that maybe isn't comfortable with seeing a lot of sex.
I agree.
Oh, and by the way, this is something inside of our most recent episode, the Fangbanger Podcast episode, reviewing the episode 12, the season finale. We talked about a video podcast called Think Hero.
Think Hero.
And it's two ladies that specifically deal with and focus on True Blood inside of that line, the Think Hero line. And they mentioned this as well, and I wanted to make sure that we mentioned it here. What is the story with the actress that is Jessica covering her boobs?
She's not comfortable with nudity. That's Deborah Ann Wall. And
okay. Well, but here, simulate sex with your legs wide open.
Absolutely. No disconnect for me.
Okay.
Lots of actresses and actors do that.
I've got to assume, looking through the episode, that's got to be a portion of what she's talking about. So I do get that. With her, I'm okay with it. And I don't think this was nearly as plunging and thrusting as, say, the Suki Eric stuff earlier this season.
Yeah, I agree.
That gets into that. I thought I was watching a softcore porn.
And no, it's not snowing.
Yeah. Is it snowing in here? I'm not sure. As an afterthought. It has its good points. It got some laughs out of me with its cheesy humor. Agreed. I thought this episode layered in much of that.
Yes,
we didn't mention that inside the episode.
No, but there was a lot of good True Blood humor in this episode.
That dark satire humor is something I really like a lot. It's what draws me to the Pam character in particular. So yes, I totally agree there. As I said earlier, it has the potential to be absolutely great. They just need to realize that people still watch it if they don't include a sex scene every 10 minutes.
I felt that the sex was really scaled back this season, quite frankly.
Yes,
it wasn't nearly as much nudity and sex in this season as in previous.
Yeah, you throw out the first couple of episodes with Suki and Eric flailing all over bare carpets and stuff, and it was much less.
Yeah, I agree.
True Blood news. You have a couple of True Blood news.
Actually, I do. One of the things I celebrated in the Fangbanger podcast for this episode was that we get to finally see Tara die. Yay! Unfortunately,
by shotgun.
By shotgun. Shotgun to the head. Could it have been any better? I don't know. But unfortunately, it appears that the actress, Retina Wesley, who plays her, is signed on for season 5. That she has a contract for next season. She admits the fact that she was indeed shot in the back of the head and is missing the back half of her head, and does not know how they're going to bring her back in the next series of shows, but she will be back.
The problem here is something we lamented last episode when Jason got dead from the fireball when Pam fired a missile.
Yeah, which was great.
I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was great. It was one of those unexpected, oh, wow, that I guess this one turns into. The problem is that we would prefer it if she didn't come back.
Yeah, I would prefer if we never saw Tara ever again. If they use her very, very sparingly as a spirit that the medium Lafayette sees occasionally, maybe I won't get the extreme Tara hate that makes me shake like this. and maybe it won't be that bad, but please, if she's dead, just let her be dead.
I think you're in for a rough ride.
Ugh.
I think you're going to be, and that's why it was so weird that you were jubilant inside of the most recent review about it, because she's coming back.
Yeah.
She's coming back.
She's dead.
She's coming back. She's coming back.
Moving on.
Another True Blood news note. Great answers on CNN recently via their iReport series. We had Alcide and Pam, the actors, sit in to questions from people providing iReports. For those of you that don't know what iReports are, CNN actually provides you with the avenue of asking questions to famous people. Very often it's entertainers, but it's also notable news people.
Sure.
And the iReporting series also allows you to do all kinds of things where you get to provide your own little report. This one just deals with questions to the stars. And I encourage all of you to check that out. Remember, you can go to FangbangerPodcast.com and you can either look at it from our Facebook presence to go directly to the CNN video with the questions from Alcide and Pam, or you can go to FangbangerPodcast.com and we've got that linked inside of our links section, along with that new Think Hero podcast that I referred to previously inside this episode.
Yeah.
I totally recommend both of those, and they were great. The questions are good. It's clear that the actors are off the cuffing, providing real actor answers.
Right.
That is really refreshing. I tire quickly of seeing what basically amounts to a public service announcement on the internet from our friends, the actors.
Yeah.
And it's not really. This is them coming up with the answers off the top of their head. They kind of play together really well, and they have a good chemistry. Mostly because they're really they dig their parts and they like the people that they're playing, and they make lots of money doing it. So,
but of course, who couldn't like that? Speaking of links on our website, if you go to True Blood Online, which is the Vault, they've got a promotion going right now where they want everybody to go to Spike TV's Scream Awards and vote for True Blood, not just the show itself for an overall award, but the individual characters for the show. Go and check that out. Go to FangbangerPodcast.com. Click the links link, which will drop you down to the bottom of the page, and you'll find the vault down there. They've got the link to the direct link to the Scream Awards. Hey, you know what? As a fan community, there's hardly less we could do for the awesome entertainment they provide than go and throw a vote for them.
Yeah. And again, it just takes a couple of minutes. We're not talking about some sort of uber commitment. You just have to follow through the links. You'll be just fine. Website of the episode. We talked a little bit already about Think Heroes True Blood reviewers. Mm-hmm. That's Roth and Jenna over there. And the reason I love listening to their podcast is because, ding, 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 it's original thinking. It's something that really harkens back to the very early years of True Blood. That first and second season of True Blood, I think, is some of the best writing I've ever seen and experienced, especially being able to wrap in vampire stuff that I don't usually care for.
Right.
And so they really have their game on, but more importantly, they have conviction in what they say. They provide you with the viewpoint they think, and then they tell you why. Yes.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you want to be listening to, and it's why you're listening to the Fangbanger Podcast review all of True Blood and a whole bunch of other great movies, and it's why we recommend as this week's website of this episode of the True Blood Transfusion, Think Heroes True Blood reviewers. Remember, that's Roth and Jenna. We hope to have some sort of partner podcast coming up here, maybe either the All Fan Input episode that we do, or maybe the season recap. I think it would provide a really great flavor, especially because it looks as though these last two episodes, they're exactly opposite of what I thought. I thought episode 11 was great, and episode 12, official two guys talking meh.
Yeah.
Where they're the other way around. They didn't care for 11, and they really, really liked 12. So remember, check them out. The link is over at FangbangerPodcast.com. Click on the Fangbanger links link that's on the top, and that'll bring you down to the buttons, and it's the yellow button with the two gorgeous young ladies on it. Fan feedback. Dawn from Queens. Dawn, how's it going? Dawn writes, stop with the Fangbanger revisits already. Why is it when television programs seem to reach the bottom of the creative well, they head for the past? Now,
Mike lamented this in the past review.
Yes. The difference is, and the reason I put this in here is because she goes into way more depth than I did inside the program. Dawn continues. Russell's return. Bonus. Yes, agreed.
Okay.
And I'm there too, even though I don't like all the returning stuffs, but I am a fan of Russell coming back. Bonus. He was put into a package eventually to be released. Good form. Quirky, holy cult leader asshat returns equals suck it.
Really? Reverend Steve, I think, is going to be an interesting take to see where he kind of skewed off.
Of the returns, I liked him the most. So, again, I get the going back is not great. That I don't agree with on. As a vampire, suck it harder.
Oh, my. All right.
All right, Don.
I kind of like the idea that this hardcore conservative evangelical comes out of the closet as the thing he preaches heavily against. I like the irony there.
As do I. I begin to understand that dynamic.
Yeah.
So again, on the him coming back, I'm against you there. Gran revisits. Yes, Gran, the stabbed to death granny, visits again to take the she-devil back to what the Fangbanger does she take her back to anyway?
Which is exactly your point,
yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Now, and this one I do agree with you. Is this punishment? Question mark. Is Gran being punished? Question mark. Why? Question mark. Why, oh why, am I locked into the show? Question mark. Mother Fangbanger.
I like that.
Can't wait to see how you two guys take on this one. It better be good or I'll send the dead zombie horde after you two. Oh, no, wait. They didn't do a goddamn thing either.
Well, okay.
Bartender, lots of liquor, please. Dawn and Queens.
Well, all right.
Again, I love the feedback from our fans because it mirrors so much of at least what I was saying inside this episode. But you, again, tell us what you think. And that's why I value feedback of all kinds. To hit your point here, Gran, I was not a fan of Gran coming back either. I loved Gran as a character. In fact, I don't think they should have killed her off as early as they did.
Unfortunately, that was sort of them being sort of lashed to the book, I think.
Were they? But I mean, that tether's gone now, isn't it?
Now it is, but in season 1, it was
Okay.
they were really kind of lashed to the book there.
I would provide you the supposition that no program is tethered to a book. Period. Thoughts?
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay. Well, there's another perfect example of they lashed themselves to the book.
And did they do that because if the fans riot, then
well,
it's bad?
I mean, you got to think if what you're trying to
no
do,
series or a series.
If what you're trying to do with your series is put the fiction from the written page onto the show, then yeah, you stick to the book. At a certain point, if you want to divest yourself of that, then feel free. And I think that's what True Blood did. It was they stuck very close to their source material in the first season and have since then sprouted their own wings.
I agree with that.
Right on.
More fan feedback. Nils from Pasadena. Nils, thanks for watching the Two Guys Talking Fangbanger Podcast, True Blood Transfusion.
Yeah, right on.
That. Like that?
I do.
The best vampire show I've ever seen. Wow. This show is totally addicting. Agreed.
I agree.
I totally agree with that. Remember, I started not liking vampires, and while I still don't like vampires, the show has me because of the smart writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except for most of the episode 12,
That's
which you can listen to right now.
That's because Mike has a poor opinion of it.
By clicking the links above us
Directly above
right
us here.
now.
Yeah.
You can click those and listen. Nils continues, very funny at times, but also sad and moving sometimes.
I agree with that.
A little social, religious, political satire.
Yep.
I also agree with
sort
that.
of that Reverend Steve bit, yeah.
And not only the Reverend Steve bit, but a couple of the questions that are answered inside of Pam's questions inside of the I Report segment that we talked about. They actually talk about how the things inside the episode actually refer to things inside of real life.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Without being blunt over the head, too, which is really, really difficult. It's not perfect. The accents are a little fake at times, which, by the way, did you know that this week you had not Bill Moyer.
See, you did the same thing I did.
Stephen Moyer. Shut up. Stephen Moyer called you this week via the True Blood Bloodline in his English accent, which was not all cockneyed.
Right, exactly. He doesn't have that oh, governor. He doesn't talk like that. He has a very refined British
It's
accent.
super subtle, and if he was using that inside of True Blood, I know I wouldn't like it nearly as much as
No, suck it.
Yeah, it would all be gone. But it would be good. It would be good, and it would be believable, and it was great. It was great to hear him in his true accent inside of True Blood. Nils finishes it out with they overdo the sex scenes a bit often for me as well. Wow, another input of sex. Still, overall, one of my favorite shows of all time. There have been many, many bad vampire movies and shows,
I agree
so
with that.
it's refreshing change to see something that steps into regular, different light, reviewed by two guys talking.
Awesome. Thank
Nils,
you very much.
Thank you very much.
That's the kind of feedback we like.
Yeah, your feedback is exactly why we podcast. We want to convey our thoughts, and in fact, episode number 12, which you can listen to by
Clicking on the link directly
right above us, right. You can listen to that episode, and you'll get what I think is probably the most violent episode.
Yeah, we were really at each other's throats. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good.
I wasn't at your throat. You were more at my throat.
A little bit. No.
I was disregard from
I was at your throat, and you were just giving me the meh.
the official two guys talking meh. To close out this episode of the True Blood Transfusion, remember that we have the Dexter perspective reviews going on of Dexter Season 4.
Yep.
We have the entire run of Dexter Season 5, and then we'll be following Dexter Season 6 hour by hour with podcaster Scott Roberts as my co-host inside of that one. Remember, you can go to twoguystalking.com, click on any of the pictures you see of Dexter, and you'll go to both the Season 4 perspective review, you'll go to our Season 5 complete review, and then you'll go to our Season 6 as it happens, hour by hour. We've also got a ton of perspective reviews coming up. For those of you that don't know what perspective reviews are, it's where we go and see movies. We wait between 30 and 60 days, depending on what the feel is, and then we review those movies, but give you the perspective view. So instead of the instant, watch this movie this coming week Friday, we look back at the movie and tell you why you should or shouldn't be watching it, as well as what's happened with the franchise inside of that movie series.
We also get to push the numbers, which is something I love because I'm really horrible at guessing what movies have made.
And I'm perfect because I researched them all and tell him how he's wrong.
Because he's got the answers.
That's right. Remember, the perspective reviews coming up include Thor, Pirates 4, X3. We did a complete X1 and X2 series.
We're going to do
Finish out
First
X3.
Class.
X-Men First Class is up after that. Transformers, Dark of the Moon. Captain America. Larry Crone.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding. We're not doing Larry Crone. Screw that.
Oh.
Tom Hanks rules.
I do. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks for president.
Rock on.
Roger
no,
that.
not for president.
Not for real.
No.
Not for real.
And then again, Captain America, which an outstanding film that is probably the best comic translation to film in my opinion.
Really close, yeah.
It's really, really good. Remember that we always want your fan feedback. You can leave it here inside of the YouTube channel if you happen to be at YouTube, right below us, or you can go to FangbangerPodcast.com and leave all the comments inside of our Facebook presence, which we're always looking for more people to look at us through Facebook.
You can also go to iTunes and review us there,
iTunes,
which is magnificent.
You betcha. It's always great to have iTunes reviews, mostly because we get probably the most honest reviews that we ever get, because, of course, we can't do anything about your negative reviews.
Right. Yay. And by the way, I enjoy a negative review as much as I enjoy a positive review, provided you're not just trolling us. If you've got a problem with us, hey, let us know. I dig it.
Tell us why, essentially, is the gist there. And remember, we are always looking for you to tell a friend or your enemies about the Fangbanger podcast, as well as the entire Two Guys Talking series. Until next time, I'm Mike Wilkerson, one of your hosts.
And I'm David Carete, the other host.
Thanks for watching this episode of the True Blood Transfusion, and we'll see you next time. Turn it on. Quick, hurry.